Namo Buddhaya. Today, I'd like to discuss a very important topic relevant for all of our lives. How to forgive yourself. So I think all of us have done things that we regret. Maybe in our childhood, when we were younger. All of us have done things we regret. We've all made mistakes, right? But sometimes, if we continue thinking over and over again about our mistakes, we suffer mentally, actually. It's like scratching an old wound. We don't allow it to heal. But the Buddha taught us how to overcome that kind of regret and remorse about our past mistakes. So it's important to understand firstly that things that happened in the past are finished. They're over, gone with. They're impermanent. We can't change the past. That's the first thing we need to understand. Past is over. But if we continue thinking about our mistakes that we made in the past, we suffer in the present. That's what happens to us. First, we need to recognize those kind of thoughts when they arise. To do that, we need to have mindfulness. It's not easy, actually. We should try to practice this. When regret arises, when remorse arises about our past mistakes, we should try to recognize it as such and remove it. Now, the Buddha taught how to get rid of those kind of mental states. So first we should understand, a person who's practicing the Buddha's teachings, the Dhamma, first has to understand what kind of actions are good and bad. So we've made mistakes in the past, right? We need to recognize those mistakes as mistakes. So the Buddha teaches the 5 precepts: not to kill, steal, engage in sexual misconduct, lie, and take alcohol and drugs. So say for example, we get into an argument with our mother, father, or our husband, wife, and we're yelling at them, maybe tell a lie, speak harshly to them, and afterward we feel regret about what we did. So the way to remove that, the Buddha taught, we need to understand our mistakes. We need to understand I did something wrong here. Not keep thinking about it over and over again. First, we need to understand that we did something wrong. We can't change the past, right? But when we understand that we made a mistake, in the future, we can make the determination not to do the same thing again. Not to fall into the same trap again. And then we need to let go of the past. It's over with and we can't change it. But we can make a resolve to do better in the future. That's the way to overcome our past mistakes. Not to keep regretting them over and over again. Otherwise we suffer mentally. The Buddha also taught very important concept to remove remorse. It's called virtue. If you don't know what virtue is, it's purifying our inner life, purifying our actions, our bodily and verbal actions, the way we behave with our body and the way we speak. Now the Buddha explains very clearly in the Dhamma what kind of actions are good or wholesome, that lead to our own happiness and the happiness of others. If we can learn the Buddha's teachings and understand clearly what kind of actions are good, then we have the chance to avoid bad actions. It's the bad actions that we end up regretting, actually. Right? You feel remorse over mistakes you made in the past. But what if you don't make any mistakes? Then how will remorse arise? What to regret if you make no mistakes? That's the second secret. If you can learn what kind of actions are good and what kind of actions are bad, you can purify your inner life. Then you will have nothing to regret. If you've done nothing wrong, then what to regret? The Buddha explains that a person who purifies his or her virtue experiences a special kind of happiness. The Buddha called it anavajja sukha, that bliss of blamelessness, which means no one can criticize you. People can blame you and criticize you, of course, but their criticism is groundless. It's not true. And you know inside that you did nothing wrong. We can't avoid all criticism. Even the Buddha was criticized. But we can understand for ourselves that this criticism is unjust. If we haven't made any mistakes, then we can be happy inside. That is the way to remove our regret and remorse over the past. That is the way to forgive yourself. Just to recap, the first step in forgiving yourself is to understand that the past is over with and gone. We can't change the past. We can't remove our past mistakes. But we can understand that we made a mistake and resolve not to do it again in the future. And then we let it go. Then we let go of the past and don't keep thinking about it. That's the first trick we can use to forgive ourselves. Second way to forgive yourself and remove regret, the Buddha taught, to purify your inner life, to purify your behavior. Once you purify your behavior, you make no mistakes in the way you speak and act. To do that, we need to learn the Buddha's teachings well and understand what kind of actions are good and bad. Then once we understand, we can try to purify our virtue. It probably won't happen overnight, but we can try little by little to purify our inner life. Then once we've purified our behavior, we make no mistakes. When we make no mistakes, we have nothing to regret. And because of that, we experience a happiness inside. So these are the ways the Buddha taught to forgive yourself. Namo Buddhaya.